Do you believe that a very simple powder could help you? It is cheaper than a cup of coffee in the US and has been studied in thousands of people for more than 30 years. If you use it the right way, it can help reduce stubborn fat and bring back strength in your arms and legs. It may ease low-grade inflammation in your body and even support your memory and clarity without complicated exercise programs or expensive supplement packages. It may sound a little too good to be true, but I am not talking about a miracle drug. It is not a new trend on social media, and it is not a secret only for bodybuilders. In fact, it is more like you press a small biological switch inside your body. Your body gently tells you, I can still be strong, and I can still recover, and I do not have to accept getting weaker and weaker. This is a substance your body already makes every single day. Medicine has hundreds of clinical studies on it over many decades, and the price is very low. For people over 55 or 60, it can truly change the game for strength and independence. I am talking about creatine. In this video, I would like to walk with you step by step. We will clear up misunderstandings about creatine and quickly review what it does for your muscles, brain, bones, and immune system. We will look at several large research studies so you feel this is not just someone said so. Most importantly, if you decide to use it, you will know how to use it in a practical and safe way in daily life in the US. You do not need to be a scientist. You do not need to live in the gym. You only need to hold on to a few key ideas and apply them with patience. Now let us start from what is holding you back. The misunderstandings. Misunderstanding number one is this: I am old, so there is nothing to do. Lost muscle cannot come back. You may have thought, I am over 60, feeling weak is normal. I just have to endure it. It sounds reasonable at first, but if you do nothing, each year you may lose another 1 to 2% of your muscle mass, and over 5 to 10 years, your ability to walk, stand up from a chair, and keep your balance can change dramatically. The truth is that muscle can still respond at any age. It just responds more slowly and needs more patience. If you eat enough protein, add a little gentle resistance exercise, and use creatine correctly, your muscles can still become stronger and firmer. Not to turn you into a bodybuilder, but enough so you stand up more steadily, climb stairs with less shaking, and feel less afraid when carrying things. Studies in people aged 60 to 80 show this pattern. When they eat enough protein, do a bit of light resistance training, and add creatine, lean muscle mass goes up, leg and arm strength improves clearly, and the risk of falling goes down compared to those who do not use creatine. A large review in people who do resistance training also found this. Those who take creatine gain on average about 1 to 1.2 kilograms of lean muscle and lose about 0.7 kilograms more fat than the group that only trains without creatine. In terms of strength, for upper body exercises, they can lift about 4 to 5 kilograms more. For lower body exercises, which relate directly to thighs, hips, walking, and climbing stairs, they gain around 10 to 11 kilograms more. All of these numbers are simply telling you one thing. At 60 or 70, your body can still respond very well if you eat properly, move properly, and have creatine as support. Misunderstanding number two says, creatine is a dangerous drug, a strange chemical put into the body. Many people hear creatine and picture a big tub of powder in the gym, surrounded by young men with huge muscles. Then the feeling arises, that is not for me. But in reality, creatine is not strange at all. Your liver and kidneys make creatine every day. Your body uses amino acids from food to create it, and then sends creatine to your muscles, brain, and heart to provide quick energy. Everyday foods, especially red meat and fish, already contain creatine. The problem is that many older adults eat less meat and fish or restrict their diet too much, so the creatine tank in the body slowly runs low. So taking creatine is not putting a strange substance into your body. It is more like topping up a tank that is running empty. As for how many types are on the market, which one should older adults choose, I will talk about that in a later section so it is easier for you to remember and apply. Another common worry is, taking creatine will damage my kidneys, harm my liver, cause hair loss, and make me swollen with water. This is the reason many people give up before they even start. When you use creatine, blood tests may show a mild rise in creatinine. Creatinine is a normal breakdown product of creatine, and doctors use it to estimate kidney function. So when that number rises, many people panic and think, my kidneys are in trouble. However, studies in healthy people who use creatine for many months to many years at low to moderately high doses show no decline in kidney function and no abnormal rise in liver enzymes. In other words, in people with normal kidneys and liver who take reasonable doses, current evidence does not support the idea that creatine damages the kidneys or harms the liver. The mild rise in creatinine is mainly because there is more creatine in your body, so the lab number looks a bit different. But if you already have chronic kidney disease, are in kidney failure, or have severe liver disease, the story is completely different, and this group must ask their doctor before using any supplement, including creatine. What about hair loss? The rumor that creatine causes hair loss mainly came from one small study in young men, not in people in their 60s or 70s like you. Later studies did not find clear changes in hormones related to male pattern baldness, such as testosterone or DHT, with usual creatine doses. In other words, up to now, there is no strong evidence that usual doses of creatine directly cause hair loss. Meanwhile, the benefits for muscle, strength, and walking ability in older adults using creatine are much more clearly documented. And what about swelling and water retention? Creatine can draw more water into the muscle fibers. That is water inside the cells, helping muscles look fresher and work better, not the type of swelling from heart or kidney problems that makes the legs, hands, and face puff up and feel tight. The uncomfortable feeling usually appears when you drink too little water, lack electrolytes, or already have heart or kidney disease that is not well controlled. Studies of creatine transport show that creatine enters muscle cells through a gate that depends on sodium. If sodium is too low, that gate works poorly, and more creatine stays outside the cells, which can make you feel heavy and puffy. If you use an appropriate dose, drink enough water, and add a modest amount of electrolytes, most older adults tolerate creatine very well. Now let us put the misunderstandings aside and look at why your muscles become weak and where creatine fits into that picture. After age 55 or 60, your body is often followed quietly by three troublemakers. The scary part is that they are not loud and do not knock you down right away, but slowly wear you down year after year. The first is low-grade chronic inflammation. It does not look red or swollen, so it is easy to ignore. You can picture it like a fire alarm in your home that never truly turns off, always ringing quietly in the background. Day after day, that constant alarm makes your muscles, joints, and blood vessels gradually exhausted, always in a low-level alert state. The second is slower metabolism. You do not eat much more than before, but belly fat gains more easily and your daily energy is low. You feel tired after doing just a little, like an old phone that never charges fully and drops its battery very quickly. The third is gradual loss of muscle, called sarcopenia. The muscles in your thighs, hips, and back become thinner, even though these are exactly the muscle groups that help you stand up, walk, and keep your balance when you stumble. The result is that you must push with your hands to stand up from a chair. Just a few steps of stairs make you tired, and carrying a heavy bag makes your legs tremble, so you have to set it down halfway. The biggest fear is this: one fall with a hip or thigh fracture can make you lose your independence very quickly. Recent studies show that creatine does more than help muscles produce energy more efficiently. It also supports metabolism, helping the body use sugar and fat better, and reduces some of the extra inflammatory signals. Put simply, it acts on all three problems at the same time: inflammation, slow metabolism, and muscle loss. It is like turning down that alarm bell, upgrading the metabolic engine, and putting more charge into your muscle battery. So where exactly does creatine help? Imagine your muscles as a battery. Each time you stand up, step onto a stair, carry a bag, or simply hold your balance, you are drawing power from that battery. Inside each muscle cell, your body uses a kind of energy currency called ATP. To recharge that battery quickly, Muscles need a fast charging system, and creatine is a key part of that fast charger. When you supplement creatine, your muscles can regenerate ATP faster. Each time you need strength, your muscles do not run out of power as quickly, and you can do a little more. A few more steps, a few more stands from the chair, an extra stretch of stairs. Many studies report not only more lean muscle and strength, they also show that people who use creatine can walk, cycle, and do endurance activities better and recover faster after exercise than those who do not use creatine. A similar story happens in the brain. The brain uses a lot of energy and also depends on ATP to work, and it can store phosphocreatine as a buffer for times when you need to concentrate, think, or process complex information. When the creatine stores in the brain are full enough, you often feel less brain fatigue, less fogginess, and better focus during the day. Some studies in people over 65 show that taking about 5 grams of creatine each day for a few weeks helps improve short-term memory, attention, and speed of information processing compared to those who do not use it. In people who are severely sleep-deprived for a short time, higher doses of creatine, around 15 to 20 grams per day for a few days, also help reduce brain fatigue and improve decision-making. Of course, creatine cannot replace sleep. It only helps reduce some of the damage when you must stay awake and your sleep schedule is disrupted. As we age, our ability to make creatine gradually decreases. If you eat little meat, fish, and protein, the amount of creatine you get from outside is also lower, so both muscles and brain run on a half-full battery. Supplementing creatine is like refilling that battery. It is not a magical switch that changes everything overnight, but a steady and solid top-up week after week. Many of you will then ask, so which type of creatine should I use? On the market, there are many impressive names like creatine HCl, creatine ethyl ester, or buffered creatine. But up to now, creatine monohydrate is still the most solid choice. It has been studied the most, used the longest, usually costs the least, and shows good safety at reasonable doses. Comparative analyses show that the new forms of creatine do not give clearly better results than monohydrate, while the price is higher. For older adults, the priorities should be simplicity, safety, strong research, and reasonable cost. And creatine monohydrate meets all four. There is one more small but very important piece: salt and electrolytes. Creatine does not just float into muscle, it must pass through a gate in the cell membrane that depends on sodium, which means salt. When sodium is too low, the gate works poorly, less creatine enters the muscle fibers, and more stays outside the cells, so you are more likely to feel uncomfortable water retention. A simple tip is this: dissolve creatine in a glass of warm water, add a small pinch of salt, or take it with a light, low-sugar electrolyte drink that is not too salty. This helps your muscles pull more creatine inside and reduces the heavy feeling from water staying outside the cells. Of course, if your doctor has told you to eat very low salt because of heart failure, kidney failure, or severe high blood pressure, you must follow your doctor's advice and ask them before using this tip. Creatine affects not only muscles and the brain, it is also related to bones and the immune system. When muscles are stronger, they pull on bones more, giving bones a reason to stay firm and strong. Some newer studies suggest that creatine may help bone cells remodel more intelligently, especially in the thigh bone and hip, which are common sites of fractures after falls. It does not simply pump calcium into the bones, but helps them handle force better and distribute loads more evenly. In older adults, a fracture of the neck of the femur is often a major turning point in life. If creatine can help lower that risk through its effects on muscle and bone, that is a benefit worth considering. Regarding the immune system, your immune cells also need ATP to work, just as muscles need energy to contract. Creatine helps these cells generate energy more efficiently and seems to reduce some of the extra inflammatory signals. Early data show that when immune cells have enough creatine to make ATP, they can attack bacteria and viruses more actively while being less likely to overreact and create chronic inflammation. This helps your body balance protection with not harming itself. This does not mean you will never get sick, but when you face viruses, bacteria, or a long period of stress, your body may handle the situation more smoothly and efficiently. There is another point many people overlook: the difference between men and women. Women often have relatively large storage space for creatine in their muscles and brain, but the ability to produce creatine is lower than in men. Some data suggest women may produce about 70–80% less creatine than men. Combined with hormone changes around menopause, women's muscles, bones, and brain become more vulnerable to weakness, fatigue, and faster decline. For the same body weight, women may sometimes need creatine doses about 10–20% higher than men to get similar effects. At this point, you may be thinking, this makes sense, but what exactly should I do each day? Now we come to the most important part: how to use creatine in a practical and safe way. Think of creatine as a long-term foundational supplement, similar to vitamin D or omega-3. You do not need to take it for a few weeks and stop. It works best when you use a reasonable dose consistently over a long time. For suggested doses, if your goal is general health, muscle protection, and more energy, about 5 to 7 grams of creatine monohydrate per day is a good target. If you want to focus more on brain function, memory, and concentration, you can use 8 to 10 grams per day, divided into 1 or 2 servings. If you are over 50, very active, or have already lost a lot of muscle and feel weak when walking, and your doctor agrees, you may consider 10 to 15 grams per day. During periods of extreme stress, heavy physical work, or many days of poor sleep, some people temporarily use 15 to 20 grams per day for about 1 week and then return to a lower maintenance dose. This group should consult their doctor if they have chronic conditions. If you are a woman, as mentioned earlier, you may sometimes need about 10 to 20% more than a man at the same weight. For example, instead of 7 grams, you might use 8 to 9 grams per day if your body tolerates it well. The general principle is simple. Start with a moderate dose, increase slowly, and listen to your body. There is no need to jump straight to the highest level. For how to take it, the most important point is not the exact time of day, but taking it consistently. You can dissolve the creatine powder in a glass of warm water and stir until it dissolves. Then add a small pinch of salt or take it with a light electrolyte drink and drink slowly without rushing. You can drink it with breakfast, after a few light exercises, or split the dose into morning and afternoon. The key is that the routine should be easy to remember and easy to maintain. About the loading phase, some people take around 20 grams per day, divided into 3 or 4 small doses for 5 to 7 days, then go back to a maintenance dose of 5 to 7 grams per day. This helps creatine levels in the muscles rise more quickly, but for older adults, it is not required. You can simply start directly at the maintenance dose. It just takes a few more weeks to reach the same level. Throughout the process, remember to drink enough water during the day and avoid letting your body get dehydrated. Just drinking enough water already reduces a lot of cramps and the dry, shriveled, tired feeling. Creatine works much better when combined with enough protein and light to moderate resistance exercise. If you only drink creatine and do not move, your muscles do not receive the signal to grow. For protein, an easy target is about 20 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast. For a typical American-style breakfast, that could be 2 eggs with some chicken breast, Greek yogurt with a few nuts, cottage cheese with a bit of low-sugar fruit, or beans with eggs. For movement, you do not need to go to the gym. You only need a few very simple exercises done regularly, such as sit to stand from a chair 10 to 15 times, resting 1 to 2 minutes, repeated for 2 to 3 sets. You can step up and down a low step while holding a wall or railing and move slowly, feeling the muscles in your thighs and hips. You can practice balance by standing on one leg near a wall or chair for a few seconds and then switching sides. With just 3 to 4 sessions per week, combined with creatine and enough protein, your body will gradually respond. Most people need 6 to 8 weeks before they clearly feel the difference. It is slow but steady. Some people need to be more careful. If you have chronic kidney disease, kidney failure, are on dialysis, have severe liver disease, or your doctor has given you very strict limits on water and salt, You must ask your doctor before even thinking about using creatine. If while using creatine you notice rapid worsening swelling, much less urine, shortness of breath, chest pain, or any symptom that feels very unlike your usual self, stop and see a doctor. Creatine is a very helpful tool, but it does not replace your medicines or the need to treat and control existing chronic diseases. Now let me tell you a very short story. Hannah is 67 years old and lives in the US. She started taking about 5 to 7 grams of creatine monohydrate each day, dissolved in warm water with a small pinch of salt. For breakfast, she ate eggs with Greek yogurt to get enough protein. Each week, 3 to 4 times, she practiced standing up and sitting down from a chair 10 to 15 times and walked slowly around her neighborhood for 10 to 15 minutes. After about 6 to 8 weeks, she reported that she could climb 2 flights of stairs at home without holding the railing. Grocery shopping made her legs less shaky, and at the end of the day, she was still tired but no longer completely exhausted. Hannah's story is very similar to what many studies in older adults have found. The group that uses creatine plus light resistance training gains lean muscle, increases leg and arm strength, walks more steadily, and has a lower risk of falls than the group that only exercises without creatine. There is no overnight miracle here. These are small, reasonable steps repeated again and again, and creatine is one piece of that larger picture. You do not need to be exactly like Hannah, but if you can do even a part of what she did, in a few weeks or months, you may find yourself quite different. From a scientific point of view, let me summarize briefly. Many studies in older adults show that creatine plus light resistance training increases lean muscle mass, improves leg and arm strength, and reduces the risk of falls. Other studies report that creatine helps the brain use energy more efficiently, which supports memory, concentration, and reduces the feeling of brain fatigue. In short, this is a supplement with a very good safety profile when used at the proper dose in healthy people. Finally, let us imagine a sample day if you want to start. In the morning, drink a small glass of warm water right after you wake up and eat a breakfast with about 20 to 30 grams of protein. Dissolve 3 to 5 grams of creatine in another glass of warm water, add a small pinch of salt if you are not on a low-salt diet, and drink it slowly. At noon, eat lunch with protein and vegetables, and 30 to 45 minutes afterward, walk slowly for 10 to 15 minutes around your home, block, or hallway. In the afternoon, practice standing up and sitting down from a chair 10 to 15 times for 2 to 3 sets. You can add step-ups on a low stair, and after exercising, drink the rest of your creatine for the day if your target is 8 to 10 grams. In the evening, eat a moderate meal with a focus on vegetables and protein. Take a light 5 to 10 minute walk after eating, then gently stretch your thighs, calves, and lower back before bed, and try to sleep enough because that is when your muscles and brain repair themselves with creatine acting like an energy assistant for that process. If you keep this routine for 6 to 8 weeks, you will likely feel that standing up from a chair is easier, stairs are less frightening, and you can walk longer with less fatigue. Your mind may also feel less foggy at the end of the day. The most important feeling is this: I still hold some control over my own body. You do not have to use creatine, but if you are over 55 or 60, worried about weakness, falls, and losing independence, and you want your muscles, brain, and bones to stay with you for many more years, creatine monohydrate is one of the tools that is strong, affordable, evidence-based, and fairly easy to apply. Simple steps you can take include asking your doctor if you have serious chronic diseases, choosing a reputable creatine monohydrate product, starting with 5 to 7 grams per day, and taking it with a small pinch of salt and using it every day. Eat enough protein, practice a few simple movements for your legs and back, and then watch your daily energy, how you feel when standing and climbing stairs, how you recover after activity, and how clear and focused your mind feels. You are not just drinking a muscle powder. You are pressing a small internal switch so that in 5 to 10 years you can still walk, still care for yourself, and still live an active rather than a passive old age. If what I have shared helps you understand this better, please save it, share it with a friend over 60, and follow the channel so we can see each other again in future videos.